we are going to start with the second kingdom, that is Kingdom Protista. In the previous class, we had discussed about the first kingdom, that is Kingdom Monera, and also we studied the general characteristics of moneral members, as well as we studied the types of bacteria and how do they reproduce. In this session, we shall discuss about the second kingdom, that is Kingdom Protista. The members of Protista are unicellular, eukaryotic, and mainly they are aquatic organisms. Even the members of Monera or the bacteria were also unicellular. Here the Protista also unicellular. The next thing is they are eukaryotes. This is the major difference between Monerans as well as the Protista. That is, the Monerans are unicellular but prokaryotes, but Protistans are unicellular but they are eukaryotes. We have already discussed what are prokaryotes as well as what are eukaryotes. Prokaryotes means they are the organisms, they are the unicellular organisms which have a very primitive nucleus. And eukaryotes means these are the organisms, unicellular or multicellular organisms, which are having a definite true nucleus, and to the eukaryotes the Protistans also belongs. That is, the Protistans are unicellular and eukaryotes, and also these Protistans are mainly aquatic forms. That means these unicellular eukaryotic protozoans are majorly depending on the aquatic, that is water medium. Some members are photosynthetic like plants. Some resemble like animals, and many of them are saprophytic like fungi. They are showing such a beautiful features. They are resembling all different types of organisms like plants, that is photosynthetic in nature like plants, and they are resembling many features like animals, as well as they are also showing some of the features like fungi. And hence the Protistans are considered as the connecting link between the rest of the kingdoms. That means the Kingdom Protista is connecting bridge for the next upcoming kingdoms, that may be fungi, Kingdom Plantae, as well as Kingdom Animalia. For all those rest kingdoms, this Kingdom Protista is like a connecting bridge, because we said that they are having some of the photosynthetic features like plants. That means some of the protozoans are capable of manufacturing their own food, and hence autotrophic protozoans are there. And next, some are resembling like animals. Means they might be, some of the protozoans may be depending on the other organisms too. So because of that, heterotrophic nature is resembling like animals, and many of the protozoans are saprophytic like fungi. That means many of the protozoans are depending on the dead and decaying organic matters, and hence because of that nature they are showing the nature of saprophytic like fungi. And hence because of that reason, that various reasons, we are considering protozoans as the connecting link between the rest of the kingdoms. Let me see some of the basic general characteristics of the protozoans, that is Protista. These are unicellular, eukaryotic, and most of them are aquatic form. This was the first statement which we come across in the previous slide. Let me see the second characteristic. They possess a well-defined nucleus, that is, their nuclear material is bounded by a definite nuclear membrane, and hence only we are calling them as eukaryotes. I would like to repeat the characteristic again, that is, these protistans are possessing, or they are having well-defined nucleus. That means if we consider this as a cell, their genetic material is bounded by the defined nucleus is present, and they are having a bounded definite nuclear envelope or nuclear membrane. What is the major difference between this eukaryote as well as the prokaryote? When we take the prokaryotes, that is, their genetic material is suspended in the cytoplasm. That means here the genetic material is bounded by the membrane. Definite membrane is present. The genetic material is enclosed by the membrane. It's a major difference, and that is why we are calling they are eukaryotes. They possess a well-defined nucleus, that is, their genetic material or the nuclear material is bounded by the definite nuclear membrane. And the next point is the cell wall is present, and that cell wall is made up of cellulose. That cell wall is made up of cellulose. The cell contains membrane bound cell organelles, and even this point can also be taken as the difference between the prokaryotes as well as the eukaryotes. That is, protistans are the eukaryotes. These eukaryotic cells contain membrane bound cell organelles like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes, etc. Like this, many of the cell organelles, to perform specific functions, they are present within the cell, and this is also one of the important characteristic of the eukaryotic cell. But these membrane bound cell organelles are absent in the prokaryotic cells. That means we can take up the example as the members which belongs to Monera, that is bacteria. They do not possess or they do not contain the membrane bound cell organelles. The next general characteristic, many members of the Protista, they possess cilia as well as flagella for the purpose of locomotion. We can take up the example, that is Euglena, which consists of whip-like structure which is meant for sensation and locomotion, and that is nothing but the flagella, and cilia is found in paramecium. Cilia is found in paramecium. The complete body of these Protista, that is paramecium, is completely covered of very minute small projections which are arising from the plasma membrane, very small tiny hair-like structures, are present, and that structures helpful in locomotion, and that is called as cilia. So what we can say, many members possess cilia as well as flagella in Protista. They reproduce both by asexually as well as sexually. Sexual reproduction in Protista takes place by fusion of cell. By the fusion of cell. And due to the fusion of cells, the zygote is formed. And this type of reproduction in Protistants are called as sexual reproduction. I'll repeat it. The Protistants reproduces both by asexual as well as sexual way. During sexual type of reproduction, the Protistants reproduces by the fusion of cells. Two cells will fuse together, and that leads to the formation of zygote, and that process of reproduction is called as sexual type of reproduction. Sexual type of reproduction. But these are the main features and characteristics that can be observed in Protistants. And also they reproduces by asexual method. They also reproduces by asexual method also. And also Kingdom Protista is classified into 5 different groups. Kingdom Protista is divided, or it is differentiated into 5 different groups, and those 5 different groups are, the first one is Chrysophytes, the second one is Dianoflagellates, third one is Euglenoids, and fourth one is slime moths, and fifth one is protozoans. We shall see the first type in the Protistants, that is the first type is Chrysophytes. This group includes unicellular, freshwater or the marine water planktonic forms. What type of organisms are found in Chrysophytes? All the protozoans are unicellular. It is a common point. That means this group, that means the Chrysophytes group includes unicellular, freshwater or the marine water. That means they are found in freshwater. Freshwater means it may be ponds, lakes, rivers, etc. Marine water means ocean and seas. Like this, these Chrysophytes are found in both freshwater as well as the marine water planktonic forms. That means here autotrophs, planktonics means these possess, the Chrysophytes possess photosynthetic pigment and can synthesize their own food materials, and hence we can call them as autotrophs. Autotrophs means which are the organisms capable of manufacturing or synthesizing their own food by using some of the raw materials with the help of sunlight. Here, even these Chrysophytes are also considered as autotrophs because they themselves manufacturing their own food with the help of photosynthetic pigment. The example, that is one of the examples is diatoms and also the golden algae, which are commonly called, golden algae are called as desmids. The common name for desmids is golden algae. We have taken 2 examples here for the Chrysophytes One is diatoms and the other one is desmids. Desmids are commonly called as golden algae. Here is the picture of diatom and here is a picture of desmid, what we have mentioned here. It is in a crescent shape, like a half moon. It is looking like a half moon, crescent shape. We can observe here itself, it is resembling the green color, and also here we are observing the photosynthetic pigment. That means if the pigment is there, obviously they are synthesizing their own food, manufacturing their own food, and can be called as autotrophs. Next, the cell wall of the diatoms, which we saw in the previous slide, that is the diagram. The cell wall of the diatoms are made up of halves, two halves, which closely fit to one another like a soap box. Let me show you again. That is the cell wall of the diatoms. I'll show the picture again. The cell wall of the diatoms are made up of two halves which closely fit to one another like a soap box. See, this is the outermost cell wall of the diatom. Here comes the next cell wall. That means they are connected in middle. They are connected in middle. They are fitted with each other, and it is just resembling like a soap box. That is what we are telling here. Two halves which closely fit to one another and resemble like a soap box. The cell wall is very hard and made up of silica. This is the most important thing, because the cell wall formation varies from one organism to another, because we saw a different type of cell wall in bacteria, as well as we are seeing a different modification of cell wall in protistans. Under Chrysophytes, the cell wall in diatoms, they are made up of silica. The empty shell of dead diatoms gets accumulated in their habitat. The empty shells of the dead diatoms after their death, the empty shells of the dead diatoms gets accumulated. That means nothing but deposit. Numerous dead diatoms will get accumulate or deposit in their habitat. Where do they live? In their habitat over billions of years, after crossing many years, to form diatomaceous earth. I'll repeat it. These diatoms are having life after their death. After their death, the dead shell walls, that is these dead remains of the diatoms, will go on deposit. There will be numerous diatoms in the marine form, and after their death, after crossing many millions or billions of years, due to the continuous deposition or continuous accumulation of these dead diatoms, they are forming an habitat, in their habitat, to form the diatomaceous earth. That means they are found in a large amount. That is, the dead diatoms are found in very large number, and that is called as diatomaceous earth. The diatomaceous earth's soil is used for polishing, to filter the oil, and also in syrups, etc. That means even the dead waste of the dead waste shells of these cell walls of these diatoms is very beneficial. They are used in polishing, that means in manufacturing of polish or polishing, and also they are used in filtering the oil, as well as they are used in the syrups, various different types of syrups, etc. Like this, they are very beneficial to mankind, and they are the chief producers of the ocean. We are using the word producers. That means these diatomaceous earth or these diatoms which are present in the marine or the ocean, marine form, they are providing nutrition to many primary consumers. Many of the aquatic organisms are depending on these diatoms for their nutrition, and hence we are considering them as chief producers. And here is a note: the cell wall of the diatoms is made up of silica. This is repeating, we mentioned even in the previous slide, and highly ornamented. It looks very beautiful, a very good look it has, and hence it is very ornamented. They appear like jewels. When we see in water, they appear like jewels, and hence they are considered as highly ornamented. They appear like jewels under microscope. Hence they are called as jewels of plant kingdom. Hence they are also called as jewels of plant kingdom. Why we are also using them under the plant kingdom? Because they are capable of producing their own food. They are manufacturing their own food. They are autotroph, and hence these diatoms, since they are looking very ornamented under the microscope, they are looking like jewels, and we have given, or they are named as jewels of plant kingdom. The second note here is diatomaceous earth is dug to obtain fossil fuel, and when that diatomaceous earth, usually we came to know this diatomaceous earth is formed due to the continuous deposition of dead diatoms for billions of years, and due to that deposition, after billions of years, they obtain a fossil fuels, and for obtaining the fossil fuels, they are dug. That is what we are telling. Diatomaceous earth is dug to obtain fossil fuels from that surface. The second type is Dianoflagellates. Second type under protozoans, that is under Protista. Under the Kingdom Protista, the second group is Dianoflagellates. These are the aquatic autotrophic protistans. Aquatic autotrophic. Aquatic means these Dianoflagellates are living in water. Autotrophic protistans means they are synthesizing their own food. They appear yellow, blue, green or brown, red, etc. Like this, they appear in different colors. Based on the type of main pigment present in these Dianoflagellates, based on the type of main pigments, how they are appearing brown, green, blue, yellow, red. On which basis they are resembling that color? Based on the pigment which is present within those Dianoflagellates. By that way they are getting the colors. Still many other Dianoflagellates are present. The cell wall of these Dianoflagellates is made up of cellulosic plates In the furrow of cellulosic plates, they possess a longitudinal and transverse flagella. Everywhere we are specifying about the cell wall. We are specifying about the cell wall. In the previous, we found a different material present in the cell wall in the Chrysophytes, but here in Dianoflagellates, the cell wall is made up of cellulosic plates, and these cellulosic plates, in the furrow of cellulosic plates, they possess, that means they consist of a longitudinal and transverse flagella. That means in two different directions the flagella is present. Red Dianoflagellates gets multiplied rapidly in the sea to form red tides. Red Dianoflagellates. We said that there are different types of Dianoflagellates. One we are taking as an example. Red Dianoflagellates gets multiplied rapidly. That means they are reproducing in a very faster way in the sea and oceans to form red tides. That means the complete tides of the sea is covered by these red Dianoflagellates, and hence their tide is in red color. We are calling it as to form the red tides. And also these red Dianoflagellates, toxins released by them will kill the aquatic organisms. That means some of the toxic chemicals are released into the water by these Dianoflagellates, and that toxic substances is very harmful and it kills the aquatic organisms. Here is a picture of red Dianoflagellate which we discussed in previous slide. These red Dianoflagellates gets multiplied rapidly in sea and forms the red tides, and they are releasing the toxic substances, and that toxic substance will kill the aquatic organism. This is a picture that can be taken as an example of Dianoflagellate.